as somebody who does hire people, I would much rather hire somebody who knows how to use AI, which is going to 10x their input in the day, meaning they could do more in one day than a regular employee can do in 2, 3, maybe even 4 or 5 days. I'd much rather work with them. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the 8-Figure Agency Show, where a successful entrepreneur and a soon-to-be successful entrepreneur help you build an 8-figure agency by documenting our successes and our failures. And today, we are going to be talking about the long-awaited, or really not even long-awaited, but just really hot topic of AI and how that is going to affect the marketing world.
Yeah, I love this topic. I'm actually going to be presenting at a conference on the topic of marketing automation through AI. And this is all things that are coming about as we speak. I don't think anybody's like, hey, I have all the answers. So it's really important that people understand that. But there are things that are starting to pop up that are making life way easier inside of an agency world. And I think every agency owner, or every business owner really, or if you go to school or if you work in a business, like pretty much everybody should be learning these things because they're going to impact every single job across the board.
Mainly, Gary, I want to touch on a couple things here with you today. Number one, how you currently use AI as the CEO of an 8-figure marketing agency, how you see AI changing the industry as a whole, and how our listeners can take advantage of AI with their companies and agencies being of any size, from just starting out to, 8 figures and anything in between, how they can actually take advantage of it. So why don't we go ahead and get started with, one of those?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me first start by saying this. AI is big, so it's a trend that's happening right now, but it's still very small in the overall scheme of things. Like you may see content on it every day, but most people aren't aware of it. Most people aren't using it. And it's going to be way bigger than like crypto or anything like that. It's going to be massive. It's going to be big, like the internet's big, right? It's going to be that level of big. And the reason for that is it's going to touch a lot of people's lives. So there's going to be a lot of areas where this touches almost everybody. Anybody who, again, either goes to school, has a job, or owns a business are going to want to know about AI. And just to let you know how big it's going to be, Microsoft is in the process right now of stealing market share from Google. That's the first time in probably your life, Derek, you've ever heard anything like that. I always thought Yahoo used to be the biggest search engine when I was really young. Then Google got market share and kind of took it from there. Bing's going to start grabbing market share, and they have a very specific strategy that they're using around AI to make this happen. And I think I'll start probably there. Is right now on Bing, you can literally log in. This is a true story. So someone actually did this recently, and I was on a podcast with him, and he was explaining it to me. You can go into Bing, and you can type in, hey, I want to go on a vacation to Florida. And I want I'm going on a cruise and I want the best hotel in this area. And I want it to give me points on this credit card. I want it near the beach so I can walk. I want this level of room service and these amenities. And it will literally give you those hotels on those check marks, right? So it's going to literally give you exactly what you search for in those areas because it's smarter than just the normal search engine that we're used to using on Google. And so that's the beginning phases of it, of how it's going to start to impact people's lives.
I really hope Google starts to compete a little bit more because I hate the name Bing.
I hate it too. I hate Microsoft.
I really hope, I hope Google really starts to compete here. Honestly, Apple as well. I know Apple's really mainly hardware, but we haven't heard too much on Apple and what they're going to be doing with AI. I know they're not going to compete in the search engine type of stuff, but even Siri. So when are we going to get an update to Siri's AI?
Yeah, it's coming out inside of apps. And so Notion has some really good AI. And there's now inside, there's a thing called Compose.ai that you can use inside as basically it's ChatGPT in your Chrome browser and in any documents that you have. And so that's really cool. So you can actually go into your document, you hit // and it can be a Google Doc and it'll literally pop up basically a ChatGPT engine there that you just type in and say, hey, I want to write a paper on this. And it just boom, right into the paper. The problem is that it doesn't link back. So the problem with ChatGPT as it stands right now is it doesn't give you the sources and things like that where it's pulling from. So you can't always use it because you're not really sure if the information is accurate. And then you still have to do a bunch of research. But once you start taking ChatGPT plus search engines and being able to see where it's pulling the information from, that's going to really transform how you use it and how powerful it can be.
Game over. So Gary, let's go back to that first point there. Can you give us a brief overview of how you, as the CEO of an 8-figure marketing agency, use AI to increase efficiency and just overall work better in the company?
Yeah. So the biggest thing right now that I'm using it for to save time is copy. So just any copy, sales copy, descriptions and videos, and anything that goes on a website, letters, responses to emails. All of that is done in seconds now, where it used to be maybe it took me an hour a day. I was writing stuff and trying to come up with things, and I'm not the greatest writer in the world. So that's a huge hack for me. That's a big one. The other thing is like social media content. So now what you can do, if someone has a really hot video that's doing really well, it's a 4-minute video, let's say, I take the transcript from that video, I load it up into ChatGPT, I say, rewrite this in a social post, and I take that as a written social post, and then I edit it and make sure it aligns with what I want to say from it. But now you're starting to see the ability to be able to take anything and be able to transform it into something that you want it to look like really, really quickly. The other thing that I use it for, like just on the surface level, is if someone sends me a really long video. So someone recently sent me a 12-minute Loom and said, hey, Gary, here's an update on XYZ. I took that transcript, dropped it into ChatGPT, said, give me the main points on this. And it just instantly spit out the main points of it. I didn't even watch the whole video. And so...
What?
Yeah. And so now what this teaches me, Derek, is, because I ramble sometimes too. That's why I like being on podcasts, right? I'm a rambler a little bit. So I am working on that. So I'll take videos that I shoot, dump them in there, say, transcribe this, break this down to the simpler points. And it gives me, instead of a 10-minute version, gives me the 1-minute version. And so that's really useful as well.
Well, that's crazy. So for anybody who doesn't know, to be clear, copy is just anything that you're going to write. So it's like captions for social posts, it's articles, blogs, anything that you have to write down. That's what copy is. So to recap, Gary, it sounds like you're using it for copy. You're using it to save you time in terms of when you get a video, you put the transcripts in there and you basically give it actions. It's like having a full-time employee or assistant to do those things for you,
Exactly.
but it does it instantly because it's a computer.
Well, so the cool part is yeah, you don't need that middleman anymore. So before I just didn't like doing those things because it just really slowed me down. I had to stop everything that I was doing, stop creating content, stop doing marketing stuff, stop trying to solve complex problems, and go write this thing up for a job post because I'm the only one that really knows what goes into this job. Now I just go to ChatGPT and say, hey, write me a job description for this. Boom. And I spend maybe 2 minutes editing it, and now I get to the final product. So it's really about helping your team get closer to what you actually want. So let me give you another example of how I use it. So there's Midjourney. Have you played with Midjourney on Discord?
Yes.
Okay, so Midjourney is amazing. So before, let's pretend you're a graphic designer or a web developer, right? Before, I used to go to the web development team, or I go to my project manager and she kind of talks to them, and I'd say, hey, here's the vision. I want a website like this, and I want these colors, and I want this filling, and this is what we're going for, right? And sometimes they would make it and it would be not close to what I wanted, right? And if you've ever had anything designed before, you understand what I'm talking about. Now with Midjourney, I just go in there and I say, hey, Midjourney, I want this, this, and this. And it will give me it gets several options really close to what I want it to look like. I pick the one that I want. I edit it a little bit because you can just keep loading it in and keep giving it prompts to keep editing it. And I get, like, in 5 minutes, maybe, I get what I want. Then I share it and say, hey guys, this is the logo that I want, something like this and this. And so now they have a visual that I didn't have to go and spend 20 minutes online trying to find that. So this is just, again, shortening the cycle and removing middlemen from having to hopefully get the translation right. Now I'm in the top. I'm in the 90 percentile, right? Like, it's close to what I want. Same with the copy. It's 90% there. It just needs a little finessing at the end, and that saves a ton of time.
Game over. I mean, this episode so far is showing me that I'm not using AI in my business enough and in my life. I'm still doing everything manually. So let me ask you this with Midjourney. Only thing I've ever tried with Midjourney is just doing a couple images and stuff like that. But for those listening, are you able to design like website landing pages and logos and stuff?
Yeah, anything. You can just say logo of this, like this. If you say, hey, I want it to look like Tesla's, I want a round logo like Tesla's, these colors. Yeah, you can, in web layouts, I went in there. This is how specific I got. I want a landing page for All on 4, which is like implants and dentistry. I want a beautiful elderly 65-year-old woman with a perfect smile. And I want the page laid out like this. And boom, it just laid out the whole thing for me in seconds.
What?
Yeah.
When you say like this, are you putting in text that says I want this banner, then this banner? Or are you giving an example link?
Yeah. No example links. You have to upload anything that you want in there. It doesn't take links. You can upload images in there and say build something like this, but it knows what landing pages are. So it'll just go in there and type in. So this is the thing about AI. Here's the biggest hang up why people don't use AI is it's all about the prompts. If you don't know prompts, then you can't really use AI. So it's kind of like this, Derek. It's like going to your grandma and being like, use the internet, and she doesn't know what Google is. Well, if you don't know what Google is, then how using the internet doesn't even, like, how am I going to use it? Like, you have to have a search engine to be able to use the internet. AI, you have to know prompts. And so prompts are being able, so what I always tell people is AI is super powerful as long as you're using the right prompts. So just go in there and say, hey, make me a landing page for X. And then it's not going to be what you want. So then you're going to say, okay, make me a landing page for X that has Y. And then you just keep doing that until you learn it. And so that's how that works.
The amount of money. So I see two opportunities. Number one, for people who are smart, they'll do this and then they'll skip the entire step of having. So for those of you who don't know, a lot of web design agencies, what they'll do is they'll have two parts. They'll have the branding and design part, and they'll charge a ridiculous money for it. And then they'll charge another ridiculous fee for actually putting it into code. And oftentimes with platforms nowadays, there's a hack, or like if you use Figma and Webflow, they'll design it in Figma and then it's a one-click plugin where Webflow will automatically build what they did in Figma, but they'll still charge you double. What I'm hearing here is a massive opportunity to literally be able to say, hey, let me train somebody to go to Midjourney, put my ideas out there, skip the entire $10,000 design process and just have somebody put it into code. It's massive. Let alone, that's the first thing. The second thing is that as an agency, if you're working with clients, you could do the same thing. Your whole design process could be done by Midjourney.
Well, eventually,
you have the client fill out a form and go to Midjourney and do it.
Yeah, exactly. So this is where the automation is going to eventually come in, Derek, is that I'm not going to have to go anywhere. I'm going to go into one thing. I'm going to type in, I want a landing page for X, Y, and Z that's like this and this and this. And then it's going to create a website for me. Like, it's going to get there. Like, we're not there yet. We will be there very, very soon.
Crazy. I mean, that's insane to me. It's really, really insane. So, Gary, we've covered how you use AI.
Well, hold on. I got a couple more. So I got a couple more for you.
Please,
okay. So one thing that we've been doing, we have to create landing pages that have very specific patient testimonials on them, talking about how great this doctor is in XYZ. We've been testing AI videos for that, and they've been working pretty good. So the problem that we always run into is, let's pretend you're our client, right? So we come to you and we say, okay, Mr. Client, you want a lot of these larger treatments. That's great. We need testimonial videos from your patients talking about how great you are. So number one, you have to have those testimonials. But then number two, you also have to find a patient, and then we have to coach them and hopefully hope that they're good on camera, right? Because not everybody's great on camera. Some people get really nervous. And so it's this whole, and it's very expensive. We have to fly a camera crew out there. We have to, all that kind of stuff. So now what we're able to do is we're able to take Google reviews and we're able to load those into an AI bot that then now it has a human on the screen. It looks like a regular human. And they're talking and saying, hey, this is the experience that I've had at XYZ dental practice. And we can put exactly the wording that we want in those videos.
Do you have to put any specific disclaimers for something like that, though, to say like, hey, it's not the actual person, but it's their actual review?
I'm sure there's some rules that you have to follow there of that, hey, this is not the actual patient or whatever. But yeah, I'm sure there is. I'm sure there's rules on that. I don't actually handle this. This is a team that does it. I'm sure, make sure you follow all the legal laws and all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is crazy. I really need to start using AI more in my company. I see some people using it, and I know that I need to understand it, but this is telling me much more that I need to do it. So, Gary, we've covered how you use it, and now I would love to cover your prediction. We did briefly touch on it at the beginning, but what do you predict AI is going to do to the world and the marketing agency over the next decade?
Yeah, so the world it's going to put a lot of people out of jobs because it's just going to be way more efficient than any person is able to do. It's like researchers back in the day that used to go and read books and compile all the information. Then Google came out and their job changed, how they interacted. So maybe now they work on Wikipedia rather than compiling books, but you don't need hundreds of them or thousands of them anymore. You only need a couple people doing that, right? So then what that does is it actually puts strain on that job, where before we might need 100 copywriters. Now we only need one copywriter or two copywriters, and they can do massive amount of work and filtering, right? So you still need somebody finessing this. That's the key here, Derek. Someone still at the end needs to finesse it and kind of put the final touches on it for most things. What I will say is that if you can learn how to use the AI tools, that's who's going to win this game. So it's not that people are going to mass lose their jobs. You're to AI. It's people are going to mass lose their jobs to people who know how to use AI, because I will be able to produce at a much higher rate than someone else that doesn't know how to use it.
As somebody who does hire people, I would much rather hire somebody who knows how to use AI, which is going to 10x their input in the day, meaning they could do more in one day than a regular employee can do in 2, 3, maybe even 4 or 5 days.
Yep.
I'd much rather work with them. I don't care that they're not individually writing each word or each letter. If they're doing 50 times the output, not only are they going to cost me the same and do more work, it's going to be better work over time because they don't have to do as much manual input, right? And at the same time, I know that that's a valuable investment for me because I don't have to worry about it. I don't care who gets it done or how they do it. It goes back to who, not how. I just care about the person who's going to make it happen the right way. So that's really interesting. I'm really excited to see how this goes. I actually had one of our clients had an interview, Gary, with a gentleman who's like super big in this space, and he predicts AI is going to kill us all. What's your take on that? Do you agree?
I haven't had any threats from AI yet, so I don't know how that's going to work, but we will see. What I will say is that we're going to have to build AI to protect us from AI. Let me give you an example in the dental industry, like a very practical approach, but then on a bigger scale of like protecting ourselves physically. So in the dental industry, dentists have AI that reviews charts for them and tells them if there's problems. Now, a lot of dentists don't like it because they feel like it's going to take their job, right? So they kind of have fended it off. But here's what's happening. Insurance companies are starting to use it. So insurance companies are going in and looking at the chart and going, hey, you shouldn't have done this kind of treatment. You should have done this treatment. And the insurance companies are going to start to reject a lot more claims to the office and say, no, we're not going to do that. This isn't covered. This is why, da, 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 da. So the dental offices, to combat that, are going to have to use AI to battle the insurance company's AI. Does that make sense? So you kind of have to beat them to the punch and say, here's why we're doing this. This is my observation. AI backs it up. This is what the observation that the third party AI has. So you should do this claim, right? Well, that's AI fighting against AI, right? So one person has it, it gives you an unfair advantage, so the other side has to have it. What I think, and this is what Elon Musk talks about all the time, is that people are going to come out with AI and they're going to, let's just use a crazy example, drones. Let's say drones are running our errands for us, right? And it's all done with AI. We don't even have to do anything. We just go into a search engine or some kind of machine that says, hey, I want all this stuff from the store. It goes and picks it up from the store, brings it back, right? Let's just say, right? That would be cool. Okay. Well, what if in that process, something bad happens, right? Like where the AI goes rogue or somebody else's AI wants the same products that we want, and that's causing problems. Then there's going to be another level of AI that we're going to need to help battle or fight on that front. Even though it might not be a direct war that we're involved in, it's going to be a problem that our AI drone needs to fight the other AI drone to go get that thing. But you could even take that all the way out to like a battlefield. If I have robots that are fighting somebody else's robots, like we need AI that's going to fight AI, right? And so
Terminator.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. So eventually that will happen. Like that's going to happen. To what level, what stage, how fast, how much can we control? We really don't know yet. We're all learning, and that's the scary part. For me, I just want to learn how to use it. So that's where I'm at. I try not to worry about that kind of stuff, but that is a hot take, and I can see why somebody might think that.
When we first started this show, did the idea that AI would be this big ever cross your mind back in June?
Here's the crazy part, Derek. Since I was a kid, since the internet came out while I was in like junior high, became really popular, and I didn't know how big it was going to be. And I remember everybody talking about this is going to be huge. And I started using it, and I was like, okay, I could see how this is going to be huge. Since then, everybody's been talking about, automation and these things are just automatically going to do this. But it's never really happened. We've had things that made things quicker, right? So like I used to have a Garmin. You know what Garmin's are? So in car,
the dash cam, right?
Yeah. It gives you directions. So it's a map. So when I was a kid, we used to have, when I was a little kid, this is going to be a perfect illustration, okay? So when I was a little kid, when I was first born, there was these books that you had to thumb through with maps to find anything. That's how you got places. Then the internet came out and we used to print off maps from MapQuest. So that was like, well, that's way easier. It just tells me how to go from here to here. I don't have to learn how to read a map. It just gives me exact directions. Then Garmin's came out. And these were little screens that you would put in your car that would actually give you directions to where you wanted to go, turn by turn directions. Now we have Google Maps that does all that for us. So in that time, that's a lot of cool stuff that's happened. Great technology, really, really cool. Saves me a lot of time, a lot of energy. And we've done that in every category that you could humanly possibly imagine. Everything from food to entertainment to everything in between. We've seen that growth. But we haven't seen AI come in and truly automate a lot of these things to the next level. And that's what we're going to start seeing soon.
Gary, as we bring this episode to a close, I have one final question from you, because my always, and yours as well, is always to bring value to the audience. So we've covered how you use it. We've covered your prediction and how it's going to affect it. We've even covered if it's going to kill us all in the next decade. But Gary, tactically speaking, from someone such as yourself who uses AI on a daily basis, how can our listeners, whether they're just starting out or they have an 8-figure marketing agency, implement AI in their workflow today?
So just go use it for personal stuff. So I use ChatGPT personally. Like just for personal stuff, and not because I have to, because I want to learn it, and that's how I get
what?
So, like as an example, I'll read something in the Bible, and I'll be like, "Hey, what does this verse mean from the Bible?" Because I want to see if it actually understands complex things. Someone will write me a note, and I'll say, someone will send me a nice Slack message, or a text message personally. I'll copy and paste it in there, and I'll say, "Could you write me a response to this?" Just so I can learn how to use it, right? Like that's how I started using it, Derek, was just like, right? I actually did write an apology letter to my wife for X, Y, and Z, right? And it wasn't even a real scenario. I just wanted to see how smart it was. So just using it, it's just using it and getting your reps in. It's almost like asking like, how should someone start using Google? Like for the internet. Again, it's like a silly question now, but it's just get on Google. And there was a term that we used to use when I was a kid. We used to surf the web. Have you ever heard that before?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds so stupid, right? Because it's like, what does that even mean, surf the web? Literally, we would just hop on Google and we'd start typing things, like random things, because we never had access to that information before. So it was like, hey, what does the sunrise in East Africa look like? Never had access to that. That was impossible before the internet, impossible for me to go get my hands on. I had to fly there. But then I could Google it and surf the web. Now I would say more people surf social media now, more so where we're just randomly, mindlessly scrolling. But that's how the internet was developed. And people started searching the web. They would surf it. They would just literally go on it with no point, no agenda, and just go and learn how to use it. Now we don't need that as much anymore. Well, we need to start surfing AI. Like you need to get in and you need to start playing with it.
I love it. That was probably the best answer you could have given right there. So bottom line, if you're listening and watching this episode right now and you've made it this far, get up, open ChatGPT and start surfing AI. There are so many products out there, Midjourney, ChatGPT, and I think there's a bunch more. I think, Gary, it would be really cool. One of the posts you should make is, and I'll shoot you a message about this, is put a list together of the top AI platforms. I would love to see a video on that.
I just made a video on that.
Oh, did you really?
It's not posted yet, but I just made it, yeah.
Look at that. There we go. Good stuff. Well, guys, thanks so much for watching and listening. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Definitely a little bit different than our traditional. Check us out on TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts for daily clips of the show. If you've liked what you've heard thus far, leave us a review on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We're trying to 100x the show, and we couldn't do it without you. We only do this show because of you. We want to be of value to you. So if there's any topics you guys want covered, leave us a comment or DM us on Instagram. With that being said, guys, thanks for watching and listening, and till next time.